What's going on? What's going on? Welcome back to another episode 3 of Bro Can We Talk. Today I have a very special guest. I mean, a very special guest with me, and I'm so excited. Today I'm doing something different, and I've asked my oldest child, my bonus daughter, Amari, to join me on the pod, and we want to come with a different perspective at manhood today, a conversation between a man and his daughter. And I think today's conversation, in fact, I know today's conversation is going to give a lot of value to you, the viewer. And I'm so excited that you joined us here at Bro Can We Talk. Amari, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me today.
No, thank you for being here.
Of course.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I want to start by getting into your childhood and tell me what's your fondest memory about being a child. See, I know you weren't expecting. I told you what we were going to talk about, but I didn't tell you what angle. Yeah, man. So, what's your fondest memory about your childhood?
I feel like that's tough.
Well, give me a few. What's your what are like the favorite things you remember about being a kid?
Definitely my holidays. Having a big blended family was always a lot of fun. So in tradition, obviously in our family, we do this Christmas Eve gathering. We've been doing it for the last, 50 plus years, at least on my mom's side. Yeah. So that's always been good memories for me, and on my dad's side too.
Yeah.
We make holidays really big, so all of my holidays as a child, I've always enjoyed. Those have probably been my best.
Yeah. How would you describe, like growing up, the dynamics of support from family? Did you feel supported growing up from everybody around you?
Yeah, absolutely. From both mother and father. My parents are all amazing. I've never felt not supported by them. So yeah, they've always been very supportive.
Were there any challenges that you faced like growing up, and how did you overcome those challenges? What were their biggest
challenges?
I know something jumps out right away. I want to talk about that thing, whatever that thing is.
There's been a couple. So moving. So if you don't know my story really quickly, I can give you a little.
Yeah, tell us your background.
So I'm from New York, but I grew up part of my life in Charlotte, North Carolina. So when I was about 8 years old, we moved from New York to Charlotte. That was a really, really hard time in my life because my mom and dad were splitting. So it was very tough navigating coming from the north to the south. And Charlotte back in 2006 was a completely different time.
Almost 2 decades ago.
Literally.
Yeah.
And it was so different because the culture in New York is so, different. Lively and fast and all of that. So coming from New York to Charlotte was such a culture shock for me. Also, too, I was leaving my family. So that was hard because it was just my mom, myself, and my little brother that came. And we had my uncle here, but not a ton of family. So that was hard. Okay. And then I would say that was like one of my first biggest challenges, I guess, I experienced in my early childhood. And then when my mom met Damon and decided to, date and marry in such a short amount of time and blend a family together, that was tough for me too, because I was used to just kind of the dynamic of, mommy, Brandon, and I. So that was hard. And then Bailey came along.
So I'm glad you brought that part up because your mom and I, we knew each other. Let me give a little background. We knew each other for about 3 years. And basketball mom, and I was basketball dad before I started coaching your brother. And then we dated for 8 months. And to be honest, we had this huge destination wedding in Bora Bora planned out. But coming into it with you, your brother, and your sister, the 4 of y'all, we couldn't afford a destination wedding. And so that's how we ended up. We knew we wanted to make this thing official. And so we ended up getting married at the magistrate's office, and we'll be celebrating year 13 in about a month. So what's it been like having, because this is going to help somebody. You have the dynamic of having a very active biological dad as well as a bonus dad. So what was that like? Because when I met you, you were 11, and so we got married in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that been like, kind of growing up as a teenage girl, active dad and an active bonus dad? What was it like for you? And if you want, what were the struggles?
Yeah. I mean, it was really good, obviously. Having your father's presence and support is obviously super important, especially in a young female's life. You know, my dad provided me a lot of stability in my life, both physically and emotionally, as well as you too, I have to say. I will say, although like I had a great childhood and all up into my teenage years, but a lot of things do stick out to me
Okay.
just in regards to like challenges.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it had to do with just the age for me.
As well as myself.
What do you mean?
So
Like your age
yeah. So
coming in?
yeah, when I got married, I was 33, second marriage, but still at 33.
Dang.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't
I
realize.
look young, baby.
No, I'm
I
just
know.
perspective because I'm
Yeah.
closer to 33 than obviously.
Yeah.
You know,
And
so
so
it's
very
interesting.
much I had a lot more growing up to do, and
Yeah.
the contention from between you and I was because of your perspective as the teenage girl, you're not my dad, and my point of view as, hey, I'm busting my ass to provide. Like, I just want to hear thank you.
Yeah.
And so it was just both of us had some growing up to do.
For sure.
Speaking of growing up, you are in town presently because we're celebrating your little sister's
Mm-hmm.
elementary graduation. So let's
Mm-hmm.
go back just a little bit. What was it like finding out, Mom? Because again, the dynamic of you, your brother, and your mother. Then I come along, and then a couple years later, boom, your mom
Barely a
is
couple
pregnant.
years.
It was a couple years.
I was pissed.
Yes, you were.
Was pissed off that my mom was pregnant because I'll never forget the day. She came into my room and she brought Brandon in, and I was waking up for school. I was in the eighth grade, waking up for like one of the last days of middle school. She told me, I think it was like May or June or something like that.
Okay.
And she came and sat on the edge of my bed with Brandon, and she woke me up and she just
She was probably scared out of her mind.
Scared out of her mind, I'm sure she was. And she sat on the side of the bed and she was like, I have to tell you something. And I was like, obviously, what?
What could this be? Because you don't sit us down.
No.
Right.
And she goes, Mommy might be pregnant. Might be.
This is yes or no,
What do you
Mama?
mean you might be? You either are or you aren't.
Ain't no gray.
No. And looking back now, I was like totally a jerk about it. At 14, I was pissed. My mom was pregnant. I'm going into high school. That's gross.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, like
yeah,
you know, that's a lot. And being 14 years apart from my little sister, like I was just annoyed. I also was at that time in my life. I had an attitude for no reason a lot of the times, probably hormones.
But look at us 11 years later, 11, and like the perspective that both of us have
It's changed
about all of it.
It's changed a lot, but
so little Bailey, tell me about.
Bailey is amazing. She, just to kind of continue to piggyback off of what I was saying, I always call her the glue.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
In this family, because I feel like also too probably with years to come after that, maturity, like I began to mature a little bit more, obviously from 14 to 16 to 18 to whatever. So I have to say, like, I feel like after Bailey was born, like a lot of our issues, I don't know, it started to kind of like, to me, like die down or go away. Yeah. Not that we had real issues. I just was
maturity and time.
Yeah, you know.
Good stuff,
little
man.
Jerk.
Can you believe that she is graduating? She's about to be a middle schooler.
Yeah, that's wild. That's crazy. Why I'm here.
How has having a blended family shaped your views on family and relationships?
shaped my views. To be honest, I don't know if it's, well, I'll say this. It's always been my experience. Like, as early as I could truly remember, like, I don't really remember my parents being together because I was, you know, obviously old enough to remember, but not, I was only, what, 8, I want to say, when they split. So, like, I now have more memories of my family being blended than my mom and dad being together. So it's been my norm my whole life for me. That's how I feel. So just from both sides, like my father is also, in a relationship long term, and obviously you and mommy. So it's just always been my experience. My stepmom's been in my life as long as I can remember, probably like 9, 8, 9, I want to say. Um, Probably like 9, 10, around that time, like early childhood. And then same with you, like you guys have kind of just always been around and been there. So it's really my norm, and I absolutely love it because on its own, both my families on both sides very close. My mom's side is very big, so just having additional parents, it just adds to the number. So I enjoy it.
Dope. Good answer.
I enjoy it.
You are an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
Your mother and I both are super proud of you and your accomplishments. Tell me what's it been like, and what inspired you to pursue entrepreneurship?
It's been a journey. So I'm about 2 years um, in my journey. What was the question? Sorry.
No, you good. What inspired you to pursue entrepreneurship?
Oh, what inspired me? I have to say my dad. My dad has been a serial entrepreneur my entire life, so that has been my example my whole life. And I always felt and knew that I would eventually end up in entrepreneurship from young. I just didn't necessarily know exactly what it was going to be. And I didn't really figure that out until probably, I'd say, like high school, maybe like 11th grade.
Yeah, because I remember you were pretty adamant saying you wanted to do hair.
Yeah.
And you definitely did that thing. So let me ask you, can you describe the journey? Give me, like, what were some key milestones for you in your career so far?
Yes, I can describe the journey. I'm just thinking, like, how far back do you want me to go? The whole journey?
No, I mean, you started your company.
Journey?
Yeah, you started your company.
Truth be told, it was a hot mess. Still a little bit of a mess trying to get it together. It's been a good mess though, because
but you getting that bag though.
Yeah,
you hitting goals.
I am.
You eating.
I say a mess because but a mess in a good way, because I've been calling it what you call a God move, literally meaning that, like, I didn't expect to go into it at the time that I did. It was just one of those things where an opportunity presented itself to me, and I would have been more mad at myself for not taking it than just taking the leap of faith. So I took the leap of faith, and then everything else kind of came after. Like, I didn't plan for this at all. It just was like, here you go. What are you going to do with it? And I was like, I gotta take it. So,
what would be your main piece of advice you would give to any young women who are looking to start their own business or thinking about starting their own business?
Just an own business, period. Do your research. Just about any and everything that you do, whether you're providing, well, when it comes to starting a business, like, do your research and make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. That's super important. I have to say, since I didn't, and not that it's like it's not terrible now. It's just like
everybody else that jumped in trucking, and do your research.
Do your research.
See where the market is going in that industry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
just because you're making 30 grand a month when you start does not mean it's gonna finish like that. Can I get a witness?
Yep.
Yeah.
Things change.
Yeah.
A lot.
Good stuff. You and James, shout out to my son-in-law, future son-in-law. You and James been rocking for 9 years. 9 years.
9.
Yeah.
9 years February.
Tell me about that, because with you being in New York, him being based in North Carolina, you guys have made this long distance relationship dynamic work. And I know that has not been easy for you guys, but how have you managed the challenges being in a long distance relationship?
The biggest thing I could say is working on our communication. So I think there's a lot of beauty in being in a long distance relationship, and it took me a long time to kind of get to that point and really realize that. But just us both being, young and in our 20s, like
That part.
there's a lot of um, there's a lot of space, I would say, for us to like be able to grow on our own and do our own thing, which I feel is super important because you can get lost in a relationship, and I feel like I mean, yes, you can. And I feel like with the both of us, like we've been able to just kind of like do our own thing and grow as individuals, and as young adults, because we've been together since for so long, right? Like when we started dating, we were 16,
Yeah.
almost 17. So from high school, 16 to 26, now we're about to be like that. You are completely different people.
Absolutely.
You go through a lot of growing pains.
Absolutely.
My path was different. I went straight into my career from high school. He went to college, played football for 6 years. That was a whole nother path, ball game. So like, we just
what are some strategies that y'all have employed? What are some strategies that have made it a little easier as far as the communication, as far as you guys being focused on you? So the reason I'm asking this too is because I obviously half a lifetime have been your age, right? Half a lifetime ago, and there were distractions galore then,
right,
in the early 2000s, in the late 99 to the two. There's way more distractions now, and we don't have to go far to find those. There's distractions everywhere as soon as you open your phone.
Yeah.
And so what strategies would have kind of kept you guys on the same wavelength of communication? I've been a young man, so how's that for you?
Strategies. I mean, one of the main things I will say that we've started to implement, especially after you finish college, like over the last 2 years, I would say, is making sure that we always have a plan to see each other again. So
I love that.
it depends, obviously, depending upon like my schedule or his, because he obviously is a teacher and full-time coach. So, his time is pulled in one way, and same with mine. But obviously, one thing in life is you make time for the things that you want to, obviously. And secondly, like I said, just always having a plan to see each other again. So we've been trying to see each other on a 1 to 2 month basis. There's been times where we haven't seen each other in months, like months, talking like maybe once or twice a year. So,
yeah.
I will say too, modern day technology has also been great. FaceTime, and also too, like honestly, I just think it's one, we're used to it now at this point, but it's also the kind of people that we are. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We're both very disciplined individuals.
I promise you, it will not work for everybody.
Yeah, so it's worked. I mean, it's not forever. It's not sustainable forever, but we've been making it work, and I'm just going with what God has, and that's it. That's how I feel.
So, y'all see why Amari is who I call the most mature. She's the elder of our children, but she's the most responsible. And she's not acting. This is who she is. And I'm super impressed with you. Thanks. Every day. I want to shift a little bit and talk about your goals. How do you stay focused on your goals and navigating the distractions? What are some of your major goals for the next 5 years?
In my career, my life, or just
all of the above?
All the above.
What are Amari's? Give me 2 or 3 of your top goals that you've set for the next 5 years.
I'm thinking.
Oh, you have goals. You just, if you say them, they out there, and then you got to work towards them.
I know.
Yeah, so let's go. I want to hear it.
Well, I plan on one day being a suite owner. I, for a long time, wanted to be a salon owner and, have a team, do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
and by suite owner, you mean
a salon suite?
suite.
Yes, a salon suite owner. Yes, meaning I want to open up salon suites. I didn't think about it in 5 years, but hey, it could be. I was thinking maybe 5 to 7, but hey, if we can do 5, we could do 5.
Yeah, for sure.
But I would say that's one of my more recent 5-year long-term goals. I kind of pivoted, like I said, because prior to that, and even being in the suite space and having my own experience, I just always thought I wanted to own a salon. But being in the suites that I'm in now, I really enjoy just the whole model. So that's where I would like to go.
Because the suites give the stylist or the barber, it gives them that
independence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, independence without having, such a major overhead cost.
How do you stay focused on your goals? I mean, like I said, distractions are everywhere. How do you stay so focused?
I feel like it's just kind of in me innately. Like, I just don't BS about anything. Like, I don't
go get them.
Seriously. And I think I just am very disciplined. Like, I'm not easily impressed by a lot of things.
I'm share something with y'all too. Amari called on me. She just renewed her lease. She upgraded her vehicle. And so the first time was 2020. New York was shut down. Amari came down and hung out with us, which was amazing. And we didn't want her to leave, but we understood, obviously, she had to get back. But when Amari came down, she got her Honda Civic. I remember you got a car.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all know, anybody that knows me, I'm Mr. Bells and Whistles. I'm like, ooh, you should get this, and this.
And the sunroof and the
Amari was like, that's gonna make my bill go here. I don't need any of that.
None of it.
She's really that girl. She's really not impressed with the oohs and the ahs, the features, and that really speaks to it really speaks to your parents and them, raising such a level. Because let's talk, I ain't even gonna get into that. That's a whole nother conversation. The girls of today, the young ladies, I should say, of today are all about
the oohs and the ahs.
The oohs and the ahs. And I just we'll leave it right there. Because I could go into that.
That's a good point.
Have your having a blended family, has that molded your views on marriage in any way? How do you feel about marriage?
Marriage is a wonderful thing. I've always. Oh, sorry.
Oh, we outside, y'all. I know y'all see that already, but we outside. Bro, can we talk? We out here outside.
Like when things buzz near my ear, makes me itch.
Well, listen, I know we're not biological, but I don't like that either.
Yeah.
You got that from me. Ugh. Yeah. So, growing up in a blended family, how has that influenced your views on marriage?
I don't think growing up in a blended family influenced my views on marriage.
Okay.
At all. I've always known that I wanted to be and get married. I think it's funny that when you're younger, a lot of the times you think certain timelines, things are supposed to happen at certain points in your life, and no. But that's okay. I just always knew that I wanted to get married. I mean,
go back. Let's stay right there with that timeline thing, because
yes,
there are so many men and women. I know you speak from a young woman's perspective. So many women who have longed for, dreamed about that day and planned the whole thing out, but they're all frogs. Every single one of them is not Mr. Right. He's a frog. And so kind of talk about that timing piece and being okay with it not being in your control.
Yeah, I mean, I just let go, honestly,
Now you
because
talking. You
there's
talking now.
seriously, because there was a point in time where, and this was like younger me, like 10 years ago, 15, you think, oh, like,
Yeah.
you think, first of all, you think 25 is so grown. To be honest, I feel like an adult child, so that's a whole nother thing. But, you think by certain points in life, by certain milestones or ages that you're supposed to be in certain spaces, doing certain things. You couldn't have told me 10 years ago that I wouldn't have been a mother of 3 at this point and married with a house.
Wow.
I'm so serious. Wow. And hell no.
Yeah.
Yes, eventually, but
yeah.
Like I said, I'm an adult child. There's still a lot of life to be lived, for me. I still have a lot of goals and I still want to do a lot of things before I have children. And it's not to say that you can't do things with children, but sure. I just know for myself, there's just a couple more things that I want to do, just in my personal experience with James, because again, we've been apart for so long. Yeah. We've never really had a chance to be together as adults, right? So there's that piece. There's a lot that happens there, right? Also travel. Like I would love to do some more travel without children first.
Yeah.
And
you're very young too. You're still very young. Yeah, for sure.
And then I also still want, I want to be able to be in a place in my life and in my career, that when it gets to the point that I do have children, like, not to say I'm not good now, but like I'm good. Like I want to have certain things implemented so that I have the time to be able to step away physically from what I'm doing, because what I do is hair, right? So if I'm not there, I'm not doing hair, I'm not making money, right? So
I think that the stuff you're saying is resonating with people, because I wasn't that guy, right? I didn't plan any of the steps. I kind of was going with the wind and dealing with it on the back end. And so there's a young man and a young woman who's listening to us right now, and they're saying, I got time. I'm young. I need to be more regimented. And you said something too about, but now that you are 25, you're like, hell no. The wiser that you get, wisdom teaches you that there's so much more to learn. The fool thinks that they know it all, but the wise man knows there's a lot more to this thing that I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I hear that when you said that. That's good. That is good stuff. I just remember myself just being so reactionary, I guess is the word, just reacting to life instead of being proactive and planning things. And I honestly, I can't say that I regret it, but I can't say I'm super proud of the way I moved either. I don't say I regret it because it's given me the perspective of experience now. And now I can say, hey, wouldn't recommend it unless you know going into it, you're setting yourself up for a quote unquote harder way. And so when you say you want to have some things in place, I hear you, because what I tell all of my young parents out there is that the money, you already have the money for children. You have the money. You'll adapt. I remember a good friend of mine, shout out to Nick. I remember when Nick told me that they were having a son, my godson, in fact. And I remember when baby number 2 came along, I told him the exact same thing on both. I said, bro, you have the money already. Now it's just a matter of, taking the funds from here and moving them to daycare, this thing. So God, like if it was God's plan and y'all were to conceive, you'd be fine in that regard. But to what you're saying, you wouldn't necessarily be able to move how you want to move.
Right.
and you have control over that. So kudos, salute to y'all for that, man. That's dope. Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on parenting, and what kind of parent do you want to be?
I think parenting is going to be amazing and lovely. Obviously, it's going to come with its challenges.
Go ahead and say what you want to say. You've been a parent for how long?
My whole life.
She said she's been raising her little sister.
More than that.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of first cousins underneath me.
Yeah. You are the oldest cousin on your mom's side for sure.
For sure. So I've been raising kids my whole life. From my brother, no, my cousin down. I'm the oldest of 10, so yeah.
So you've been in the gym putting up shots.
Literally.
Kobe.
Yeah, been raising kids a long time. Good birth control. But I'm excited to be
the best birth control is them first cousins and that sibling,
yes,
for sure.
100%. But I'm excited. Like, I'm looking forward to being a parent one day. One thing that I will definitely say that I took away from having a conversation with an individual, actually Kristen, your cousin.
Yeah. I love Chris.
Yeah, she's wonderful. Was that you're never ready for children. It doesn't matter where you are in life, how old you are, what you think you know. This is somebody, to me, I look at Kristen and I'm like, she has all of her shit together.
Yeah.
And when she said that to me, I was like, oh, okay. Understood.
I'm done.
Like, never. You are never going to be 100% ready for a child.
Yeah, that's good.
But, you know, I took that.
And, how do you think modern day parenting differs from parenting back in the day?
It's very different. I feel like I'll speak to like, and again, this is what you say, right? But you never know how you're really going to be.
Yeah, it's true.
I feel like for myself personally, I feel like I'm going to have, I shoot to, or my goal is to have a good mix between modern day and a little bit of the old school.
That's good. That's good.
I turned out just fine. My mom was firm but loving, and I feel like obviously that shaped me into like the human that I am today. Same with my dad. They're both very firm but loving people. So I kind of lost the question. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Modern day parenting versus parenting back in the day.
Yeah. So parenting back in the day, I feel like obviously there was a lot more hard lines. Like,
oh yeah,
you know, today, you know, a lot of these kids get away with a lot
soft
of
life.
Soft. They're in their soft era. Period.
Yeah.
And not to say that that's a bad thing, because there are some, I think, perks to that, obviously, but also at the same time, I think some of these kids are a little too soft, in my opinion. It just needs to be a good balance.
Dave Chappelle calls them BANs. Let y'all figure that out. Tell you what that means out off camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a good balance between some of the old school and a good bit of the new school would be good.
Yeah. Dope. This is tough. I want to ask you your view on, this is not tough. What's your view on manhood today? From a young woman's perspective, where do you see the state of manhood? And we'll start with America, because we're not touching global borders yet. Mm-hmm. But the state of America, where do you see manhood? What's your view on it?
I feel sorry for young men today, truth be told.
Why is that?
There's always been a lot of pressure, obviously, on men, I think. I mean, obviously, I'm not a man, so whatever. But I feel like in today's society, with social media and just social media.
Aggressive women.
100%.
Attention-starved, aggressive women.
Yes.
There's a lot. I'm with you.
There's just a lot going on, and I just feel like I had saw something the other day that I feel like I resonated with on social media. I saw it on Instagram. It was a reel, and it was like a clip of a woman and her partner. I don't know if they were married or not, but basically like in the not in the caption, but also like on the video, it had said like POV.
Subtitles.
Yeah, it had said point of view, and it basically had said something along the lines of like being with the not finished product, basically. And I resonated with that because, first of all, no one is ever a finished product. That's number one. There's always room and space to grow. But I feel like a lot of women today in life, in today's society, want the finished product, whatever that looks like. That looks like, a lot of the times at least I see it on a superficial level. I don't know if these people are also considering the emotional and all the other things that come with a relationship outside of just being a provider, and having money and, living this life that, they aspire to live.
Yeah.
It's tough, I feel, for young men because that's the standard today, like everybody is like, what can you do for me? But it's like,
I feel like a lot of our issues that we see with young men, and this is across the whole spectrum of men in every age range. But if we had better examples in our elders, the guys my age and up, then our young men wouldn't be running. Because truth be told, we have too many guys 40 and up, 60, 70 even, still doing the same behaviors, the same
It's a good point too.
boyish
Absolutely.
behaviors that they did in their youth. And so it's sad, but it all comes back to leadership and example. Yeah. And so I think that's what's missing. And yeah. So I would agree. Men are more distracted than ever, but this is a lot of the machine, if you will, the system, everything is designed to keep us all distracted in our own way. The news cycles and everything else and the algorithm, it's all designed to keep us distracted. So men definitely don't have it easy, but neither do women. It all boils back to being that mature person and the way that you carry yourself. And so I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for giving me this time. And I know some of these questions may have made you think a little bit, but you definitely handle them well. And I'm letting you off the hook with the question that you said circle back to.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am, because you've just continued to impress me as a bonus dad. And I want to publicly say that I believe whatever it is you put your hands to, you're going to continue to do well in. I believe that given the hand that you were dealt, you've played it excellently. You are a light to everybody that knows you. Nobody that I know of has anything bad to say about you. And that's a huge, huge testament to not only your parents raising you, all four of us, but to you and the choices that you continue to make. And so, yeah, I really just appreciate the young lady that you are, and I'm super, super proud of you.
Thank you.
Boss lady. Guys, I'm going to wrap this episode up. I hope this has been valuable for you guys. I just want you to know that Bro Can We Talk is striving to expand conversations and touch on some issues that most platforms are not touching on. Just real life stuff. There's a lot going on, like I said, in the news cycles, and I don't care to sit and talk about any of that because there's literally a million other podcasts doing that. And so We're going to continue to bring the heat and the real life stuff. So until next time, man, you guys stay engaged. Keep the conversations going. Bro, can we talk? How you feel about that?
Fine.
It was cool?
Yeah.